Yeah, welcome to REIM TV. It's another edition of Real Estate Investor Talk, and I'm sitting here with Giuseppe Plumari. And Giuseppe is the developer, he's the creator of Stein City. But more importantly, he's a businessman, and he's also an investor in real estate. So without further ado, Giuseppe, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks for the invite, Neale.
But I think more importantly, congratulations on your award. How does that make you feel?
Fantastic. You know, what a privilege. You know, I'm so honored. It's really a milestone for me, and I really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Yeah. So Giuseppe, I'd like to know, where does the story all start? Because you were born in Milan.
Yes.
And you immigrated to South Africa when you were young. Tell us that story.
Yeah. Well, I came over to South Africa with my parents. I was 10 years old. I lived in Glegari and Parkhurst, and I've loved every minute of it, and I love the country. I'm really through and through a South African now.
Fantastic. So how did the whole story about getting into construction and real estate start? Where did that all start in South Africa?
Yeah, it started. You know, my father was a builder when he came over to South Africa. You know, for building and construction. So it was in my blood. After a short stint at various other activity, I was 21 when I went to Italy for a few months to work in the construction industry with an uncle of mine that was a very successful developer in Milan. And in coming back to South Africa that same year, the following year, I decided that that's the line of business I wanted to be in. You know, I started very small, working day and night in alterations, garden walls, and very rapidly, you know, I went along the lines of building houses and specializing in luxury homes. And one thing that came very evident very quickly in the construction, in being a building contractor, you get a lot of very busy times and not so busy times. And, you know, being very conscious of not firing and hiring people the whole time. I like to keep consistency. One of the first things I did is started buying properties for development, stands at the time, on deed of sale. And I used those stands to develop houses in times of when I wasn't that busy building other people's houses. And that was really, you know, how I became very, very involved in doing private development. Very soon after that, you know, my private developments started being more profitable than the construction side of my company.
Right. So essentially, I think this is your journey to becoming an investor.
Yeah,
so on the one side, you were doing developments and construction, and on the other side, you're doing investments. Fantastic. How did it develop from there on forward?
Yeah, look, I think having bought in the early 80s at very preferential rates at the time, the property market in the late 70s, early 80s was very vulnerable. I bought a lot of stands and I started developing, and the market turned in my favor as, you know, my development business was maturing. So I made great returns on a lot of these investments. And from there I migrated to shopping centers and warehousing, you know, and I was in that interim period of development and building in my life when I actually met Stein.
Wow. So tell us about that, because I think that is what everybody would like to know. Apparently you met him at a braai.
Yes, you know, I met him at a braai at my brother's house, and something clicked. You know, I found him very interesting as a business person. He was already quite successful building his first building for Auto in General at the time, in which was glass building he was building. And I found him fascinating in his thinking of the way things about business. He's clearly a genius in the business sector. And over the next couple of years, he asked me to build his house, and I helped him put it together. And then after that, we developed the Saxon together. And not too long ago, he started investing in my company.
Wow.
Yeah, basically, you know, those 10 properties today is my old development company.
Fantastic. So we just look around at Stein City. I mean, this is fantastic living. This is top of the world living. We're in the middle of Johannesburg. It looks like we're in paradise right here.
Yeah.
Tell us about that dream. Where did it come from? Because, and I mean, Stein invested significantly also into this estate. Tell us just a little bit about that. The dream.
I think the accolades and the acknowledgement of this development has got to be given squarely to Stein.
Right.
This is his dream.
Right.
He wanted to build a city like none other, and he wanted it to be the best. And I was highly privileged to be the person he chose to create it from a creative perspective. That's how Stein City started.
So it wasn't always easy, because now you had this piece of land.
Yeah.
You had some inhabitants, you had squatters that were on the land.
Yeah.
Was that your job?
Yeah, look, the initial 180 hectares are owned as part of my portfolio in which I bought many years before that. Once was very serious about building a city, he gave me the brief to try and extend the footprint to be much greater. And we bought more land, and one of the adjoining pieces of land had the Zevenfontein informal settlement in it, with in excess of 20,000 informal settlers there. And that took a great deal of planning and perseverance, and at the end of the day we succeeded in relocating everybody very successfully. I think the community of Zevenfontein is so much better off having moved from the squalor at the time that Zevenfontein squatter camp was, and of course with the great help of human settlements and the government. A lot of these people were relocated to Cosmos City in really admirable conditions, and yes, and that's really how we dealt with the Zevenfontein informal settlement.
I think it's also important to say we're alongside Diepsloot, and on this particular estate you employ 12,000.
We employed, so when we started the development, one of the first things we decided was that we had to force any contractors coming onto the site to actually get their labor from our neighbors, and that is Cosmos City and Diepsloot. So we structured that the community of Diepsloot open a labor desk on our site, in which we financed and helped and put it together. And to date, I think in excess of 12,000 people have had held jobs in the Stein City development.
Tell us a little bit about how it's evolved, because every time I come here, I just see it's like we're in the next stage. You've got the big centre, so coming to the William Nicol Gatehouse, and every time I'm just amazed how this whole estate is just coming on. The school is open.
Yeah, look, the school is just open. It's been a great success, really. We've started with close to 200 pupils. And we've just had so many compliments and accolades. And again, we have made sure that whatever we have done with the school is we've found the best teachers, we've found the best principal, and the intentions is to be the best and to do the best we can at everything we put our hand on. And I think we've achieved that with the school.
Okay, so let's talk about the future of Stein City. It's still another 10, 15-year project.
Yes.
In addition to that, you also own a wonderful game farm.
Yes.
Which you've also got big ambitions there as well.
Well, look, my primary function is to run Stein City. This is my passion, this is my job, and this is what I love doing. I think you're going to see Stein City to grow in the next 10 years from strength to strength. I think what you're seeing is a very small part of what's going to be in 10 years' time. There's many, many more promenades and parks and pathways that we're busy building to enhance it to the point where it will be the most fantastic lifestyle estate the world has ever seen. That's my objective, and that's where my energies are in. Yeah, so the Plumari Game Farm at the moment consists of a game lodge with 50 rooms and a conference center in which is a 4-star facility, and it's quite successful. You know, I've got 3 children, 2 girls and a son who run that business, and they're focusing and they're walking on the footsteps of their dad.
Yeah.
We've got a great passion for this magnificent farm, but we're also looking to develop 75 independent units where people can come and invest in and buy. They can live there and enjoy it on weekends, and they can give it back to the hotel to manage for them and give out to discerning guests. I think it will be a great opportunity for Gauteng investors to invest in this great mountain reserve in Magaliesburg.
Fantastic. Giuseppe, maybe you just want, in closing, just want to share some tips. I mean, you're a successful man, I think, and you know, you get that through hard work, you get that through a bit of luck, you get that through skill, you get that through having good people around you. Maybe you want to give some investors some tips around.
Yeah, I think the first and foremost advice that I could give to anybody is one that I've given myself, and I've learned right from the start, is that property is a long-term game, and don't look to make short-term gains. It's a long game. When you get into it, make sure you've got the stamina to stick it out. In the long term, I've got absolutely no doubt you can only come out at the top. Another tip is there's 3 fundamentals that have been thrown around for many, many years, and those haven't changed. When you buy a property, it's got to be position, position, position. It's vital. And if you invest in property, if you're not in the field, make sure you consult people who do understand property and get an understanding in all its complexities, and invest in it wisely and have a backup plan. Like everything in life, things don't always go right.
Sure.
And make sure that you've got the stamina to, you know, carry something for at least for the first 2 to 3 years. When you do the exercise, I think it's important that if you build something and you're hoping to rent it out, you know, the situation could always arise where, you know, you haven't got a tenant for the few months. So to make sure that you've got enough reserves to survive some hiccups.
Giuseppe Plumari, CEO of Stein City, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Neale.
It was wonderful.
Thanks a lot.
To share that.
Lovely being here with you again.
Thank you.